My name is Chloe Marie Santos, and I'm 16 years old. On October 22nd, 2024, I experienced something that changed everything. My heart stopped and I died for 7 minutes. The doctors called it sudden cardiac arrest. It happened in my bedroom while I was getting ready for school. I was a junior at Lincoln High School in Sacramento. I lived with my mom. She worked 2 jobs, always hustling, to keep us afloat after my dad took off when I was 12. I wasn't exactly popular, but I had a small circle of close friends. Mostly, I spent my time hitting the books because I was determined to get into a good college and make my mom proud. I believed in God and I went to youth group occasionally, but if I'm being honest, I was way more stressed about my SAT scores than my spiritual life. I was just a regular teenager trying to figure out who I was supposed to be. The very next thing I remember, I was looking down at myself from the ceiling. My mom was frantically shaking me, screaming my name. She was on the phone with 911, sobbing so hard she could barely get the words out. I wanted to tell her I was okay, that everything was going to be all right, but I couldn't. I was there in the room, but I wasn't there, you know? I watched her try to do CPR just like they show on TV, but it wasn't working. I felt so incredibly sorry for her. She looked absolutely terrified and completely alone. Then, everything around me started to fade away, like someone was slowly dimming the lights on a stage. But strangely, I wasn't scared. I felt this unbelievable peace wash over me. Kind of like when you're a little kid and your mom wraps you up in a warm, cozy blanket right after you get out of the bath. When the fading finally stopped, I was standing in a place that looked like nowhere I'd ever seen before. The ground felt soft, like grass, but it glowed with this gentle, warm white light. There were no buildings, no trees, just this endless, beautiful expanse of space that felt incredibly safe and utterly perfect. That's when I felt him. Even before I actually saw him, it was like the air itself changed. It was like when you walk into a room and you can immediately tell that someone else is there, even if you have your eyes closed. But this feeling was so much bigger, so much more intense than that. It was love, but not the kind of love I had ever known before. This was love so powerful, so overwhelming, that it made me want to cry and laugh and just fall down on my knees, all at the same time. Then he spoke, and even now, I still can't fully explain what his voice was like. It wasn't loud, but it filled everything, completely surrounding me. It wasn't just in my ears. It was in my bones, in my heart, in parts of me I didn't even know existed. Chloe. I turned around, and there he was, Jesus. But he wasn't like the Jesus I'd seen in the stained glass windows at church or in my grandma's religious pictures. He was young, maybe in his early 20s, with dark hair and eyes that were so full of life, they actually seemed to sparkle. His skin had this inner glow to it, like there was light coming from inside him. When he smiled at me, I felt like I was the only person in the entire world who had ever mattered to him. "Am I dead?" I whispered. He stepped closer, and I could see that his eyes were the color of deep ocean water, but they seemed to have tiny stars dancing in them. "You're here with me now," he said, "and there are things I need you to see." He reached out his hand, and when I took it, I felt this wave of warmth shoot through my whole body. It was like every good feeling I'd ever experienced in my life: Christmas morning, my mom's hugs, summer vacation, getting an A on a test I had worked incredibly hard for, all happening at once. Suddenly, we were somewhere else entirely. We were standing on what looked like a hilltop, but I could see the whole world spread out below us, like a living, breathing map. I could see cities and oceans and mountains, all of them softly glowing. "The time is coming," Jesus said, and his voice became more serious, "when I will allow darkness to cover the earth for 3 days. He paused, then continued, "But first, I will give my children 3 signs to help them prepare." As he spoke, the world below us started to move, like I was watching a movie unfold. "The first sign," he said, "will be a sound." Suddenly, I heard it. It was the most beautiful sound I had ever heard in my life, but it was also incredibly powerful. It was like music, but so much deeper than just music. It was like the earth itself was singing. It seemed to come from everywhere at once: the sky, the ground, the air that was all around us. "This sound will be heard by every person on earth," Jesus explained. It will last for exactly 7 minutes. When my people hear it, something will awaken in their hearts. They will feel an urgency to prepare. Not just their homes, but their souls. I watched as people all over the world stopped what they were doing. Some fell to their knees right where they stood. Others looked up at the sky with wonder and awe on their faces. But I could also see that some people were scared, covering their ears, running away from the sound instead of listening to it. What are they supposed to prepare for? I asked. Jesus looked at me with such tenderness in his eyes. They need to forgive, Chloe. The sound will make old hurts feel unbearable. Broken relationships will ache like fresh wounds. This is my spirit calling them to make peace before the darkness comes. I saw families having conversations they'd avoided for years and years. I saw people making phone calls, writing heartfelt letters, even showing up at the doors of people they'd sworn they would never walk through again. But I also saw others who completely ignored the feeling, who stayed angry and bitter even when their hearts were clearly breaking. The second sign, Jesus continued, will be the lights. The scene changed, and now I was looking up at the night sky. But it wasn't a normal night sky. There were colors dancing across it that I had never seen before in my life. Deep purples and bright golds and shimmering silvery whites moving like curtains gently blowing in the wind. These lights will appear for 3 nights in a row, Jesus said. They will be visible from every part of the earth. When my people see them, they will know the time is very near. They will gather in their homes and spend these 3 nights in prayer and preparation. I watched people come out of their houses to stare up at the sky in amazement. Children pointed with wonder and excitement. Some adults were definitely afraid, but others, the ones who had truly listened to the sound, they were busy. They were filling containers with water, gathering candles, calling their families, urging them to come home. And the third sign? I asked, even though part of me really didn't want to know. Jesus turned to look directly at me, and I saw something in his eyes that made my chest feel tight. It was sadness, but it was also hope. The third sign will be the silence. Everything around us went completely quiet. Not just regular quiet, but silent in a way that felt almost supernatural, like even the air itself had stopped moving. For 1 full hour, he said, every machine made by human hands will stop working. Cars will not start. Phones will go dead. Even the electricity will pause. Only the sounds that I created, wind, water, birds, will remain. I saw it happening. Cities went completely silent. People came out of buildings looking confused and frightened. Traffic lights went dark. Cell phone screens went black. But in that silence, something beautiful started to happen. People started talking to each other. Really talking. Neighbors who hadn't spoken to each other in years were suddenly having actual conversations. Families were gathering together without all the usual distractions. When the silence ends, Jesus said, my people will have exactly 24 hours before the 3 days of darkness begin. Why darkness? I asked, and my voice came out much smaller and more scared than I meant it to. Jesus knelt down so we were eye to eye. Because the world has forgotten how to be still with me. They fill every moment with noise and lights and distractions. They worship their devices more than they worship me. For 3 days, I will remove everything that pulls their attention away from what truly matters. He showed me what it would look like. Darkness so complete that candles and fires were the only sources of light. No electricity anywhere, no internet, no TV, no phones, just families sitting together, talking, praying, remembering how to be human again. Those who have prepared their hearts will not be afraid, Jesus said. They will use this time to draw close to me and to each other. They will discover they don't actually need all the things they thought they needed to be happy. But I also saw the other side. People who hadn't prepared, who had ignored all 3 signs. They were panicking. Some were trying to break into stores. Others were fighting over what little they had managed to find. The darkness that was meant to bring peace had become their worst nightmare because they didn't know how to simply be still. Lord, I said, and I started to cry. Why are you showing me this? I'm just a kid. No one's going to believe me. Jesus reached over and gently wiped the tears from my face. Chloe, do you think I chose you by accident? You have something that many adults have lost. You still believe in things you can't see. Your heart is still soft enough to hear my voice. Then he showed me something that completely broke my heart. I saw my mom sitting next to my hospital bed, holding my hand. Machines were beeping all around me, but the numbers weren't good. A doctor was talking to her quietly, and I could tell from the look on his face that he was telling her to prepare for the worst. I don't want to go back, I said, and I meant it with every single fiber of my being. Being with Jesus felt like finally coming home to a place I'd been missing my whole life without even realizing it. Please, can't I just stay here? Jesus stood up and pulled me into the warmest, safest hug I had ever felt in my entire life. I know you're tired, little one. I know the world is hard, especially for someone your age. But your mom needs you, and I need you to tell people what you've seen. But what if they don't believe me? What if they think I'm making it all up? He held me tighter. Some will believe and some won't. But that's not your job to worry about. Your job is to plant the seed. I'll take care of making it grow. I looked back toward Earth, toward my mom crying over my lifeless body. Will I see you again? Every time you pray, I'm there, he said. Every time you choose kindness over anger. Every time you forgive instead of holding a grudge. Every time you help someone who's hurting, I'm right there with you. And when your real time comes many years from now, I'll be waiting. He kissed the top of my head, and I felt such overwhelming love that I honestly thought I might just disappear into it completely. Now go, he whispered. Tell them what you've seen. Help them prepare their hearts. And Chloe, don't be afraid. I'm in control of everything that's coming. The next thing I knew, I was being pulled away from him, and I fought it with everything I had. I didn't want to leave that love, that peace, that perfect sense of belonging. But then I heard my mom's voice, far away at first, but getting clearer and clearer. Please, baby, please come back to me. I can't do this without you. I gasped so hard it hurt. The hospital lights were so incredibly bright that I had to squeeze my eyes shut. There were machines everywhere, beeping and humming. A doctor was leaning over me with the most shocked expression I'd ever seen. That's impossible, he whispered to a nurse. She was flatlined for 7 minutes. There should be brain damage. There should be. This doesn't make any sense. My mom grabbed my hand and started crying so hard she was shaking. Oh, Chloe. Oh, baby. I thought I'd lost you forever. I tried to talk, but my throat was so incredibly dry. Finally, I managed to whisper, Mom, I saw him. I saw Jesus. She just held me and cried. The doctors kept me in the hospital for a week, running test after test. They simply couldn't explain what had happened. My heart was perfectly fine. My brain scans were completely normal. They called it a miracle, but I knew what it really was. It was Jesus giving me a second chance and a mission. When I finally told my mom everything I had seen, she just listened quietly, without interrupting. When I finished, she was silent for a long time. Then she said, Honey, I've been feeling something strange lately, like I need to start preparing for something. But I didn't know what. Now I think I do. That was 6 months ago. Since then, I've been sharing my story with anyone who will listen. Some kids at school think I'm weird now. Some adults get upset like I'm trying to scare them. But others listen with tears in their eyes because they feel it too. They feel something coming. I've changed a lot since it happened. The things that used to stress me out, grades, popularity, what college I'll get into, and none of that seems as important now. I spend more time with my mom. I'm nicer to the kids at school who don't have any friends. I pray every day, not because I have to, but because I want to talk to Jesus again. I keep thinking about those 3 signs: the sound that will last for 7 minutes, the lights in the sky for 3 nights, the silence for 1 hour. I don't know exactly when it will happen, but I know it will. And when it does, I want to be ready. I want everyone to be ready. If you're listening to this, please don't think I'm just some crazy teenager making stuff up. I know how it sounds, but I also know what I experienced. I held Jesus' hand. I felt his love. I saw what's coming. The 3 days of darkness aren't meant to punish us. They're meant to save us, to help us remember what really matters, to bring us back to God when we've gotten so distracted by everything else. You can start preparing now. And I don't just mean stockpiling food and candles, though that's important too. I mean preparing your heart. Forgive the people who have hurt you, even if you don't think they deserve it. Tell your family you love them, even if it feels awkward. Pray even if you're not sure how. Read the Bible even if you've never opened it before. And when you hear that sound, that beautiful, powerful sound from heaven, don't be afraid. It's not the end of the world. It's Jesus calling his children home to him. I died for 7 minutes, and I came back to tell you this. Heaven is real. Jesus is real. And he loves you more than you could ever possibly imagine. He loves you enough to warn you about what's coming, so you can be ready. The question isn't whether you believe me. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Because when that sound comes, when those lights appear, when the silence falls, it will be too late to prepare your heart. But it's not too late now. Right now, in this very moment, you can choose to listen. You can choose to prepare. You can choose to come home to the one who has been waiting for you your whole life. Don't wait. Please don't wait. Because I've seen what's coming, and I've seen his love, and I want everyone to be ready for it.